Statistics show that older Americans are the fastest growing age group in our society today. For many of these older Americans, driving is the key to maintaining an independent lifestyle. While most older adults drive safely, gradual changes in vision, movement, thinking skills, perception, attention, and memory can place older drivers at the risk for being involved or in causing an accident. Touro Infirmary is committed to helping older drivers remain independent and safe while driving. Take a look.
The We Need to Talk seminar is a 60-minute seminar that helps family members of older adults learn when it's time to start having a conversation about not driving. That is a difficult conversation to have, so we offer tips and guidelines for how to make that transition a little bit easier. We are having a We Need to Talk seminar here at Touro. It'll be in April, and you can contact us through touro.com/events. Some of the red light driving behaviors that families can look for in older adults would be things like driving down the wrong way on a one-way street, incorrect or non-use of turn signals, unexplained dents in the cars, things like driving too fast or driving too slow for the road conditions. Those are all behaviors that families can look for in knowing, whether or not their older adult is safe driving. It explains some of the typical driving behaviors that you might want to look for that we just talked about. And the seminar also can help family members learn some of the things that their older adult might be thinking about stopping driving, because it is a very huge loss of independence. So it can help family members start to understand some of those concepts. Older drivers, although the incidence of their accidents seem to be increased as they get older, older drivers are typically not unsafe drivers. Some of the changes that we see in older adults can cause them to have difficulty driving, but the reason that the older adults have more trouble with their driving when they get into accidents is because they are sometimes more frail than your typical average healthy adult. So their numbers kind of go alongside with teenagers, with new drivers. But the reason that they have more fatalities is just because their bodies may not be as strong, their bones may be weaker, so it can cause more fatalities.
When we age, we do lose some flexibility, particularly if we're not engaged in an exercise program. So when we're thinking about operating the steering wheel of our car, we do need some flexibility of our shoulders and our arms to actually move that steering wheel to avoid a hazard or to actually just make a turn into an intersection. The other important thing is neck mobility. When we are scanning to either merge into an interstate or a lane or to change lanes, we actually have to look to the right or to the left. So those joints, particularly your neck, your shoulders, your arms, and then also your legs, you have to press down on a gas pedal or slam on the brakes to avoid an oncoming hazard. As we age, there are things that occur in our vision, our hearing, and our joints and flexibility. So if we look at just vision-wise, our eyes are a little less sensitive to light. They may have difficulty quickly adjusting and focusing. So when you're operating a car and you're an older driver, you might not be picking up or quickly able to focus on a hazard that's oncoming. There are eye diseases, though, that occur also as we age, and those could be glaucoma, macular degeneration, or cataracts. So if we have one of those disease processes occurring, of course it's always important to continue to see an ophthalmologist to treat those, but we need to also be mindful of how those disease processes are actually affecting our ability to drive and detect hazards in the road. There's a 12-point checklist, and some of those 12-point checklists is, one, the distance between the steering wheel and your chest, your line of sight over the steering wheel. Are there any blind spots? When they're changing lanes, do they have a blind spot? So maybe just adjusting their side mirrors can prevent them from getting into a crash. Can they actually put their seatbelt on, attach their seatbelt. Do they even know where the controls are on their dashboard? Some individuals technically buy a new car and they really don't take the time to look and know where those devices are. So they might not know where their hazards lights are, or they might not know where their emergency brake is located. So those are just some things that actually, by taking 30 minutes of your time, educating yourself on where those things are, and actually positioning yourself, you may actually, it's our ultimate goal to diminish their risk of an accident, or crash, should I say, and also if they are involved in a crash, maybe the injury is less than it would have been if they weren't positioned correctly in the car. After they finish their 12-point checklist, there are what we call red flags. If there is a specific concern that the technician couldn't actually align them correctly because their car actually doesn't fit them, that their car is actually, their body type, their height doesn't fit the actual car they're driving. The occupational therapist will actually work with them to show them some simple adaptations, whether it's a cushion or a blind spot mirror that they could add to their car. But then also we actually get them out of the car and ask them to walk around the car with us. The point of that is actually so that we can see their mobility just getting in and out of the car, and then also just for them to notice if there is a cracked light, a broken light, if they have a dent or a ding, and we can ask them kind of how those things occurred. It begins those conversations that we want for them to have with their family members. It begins those conversations where if they're beginning to have trouble, they might be able to recognize and begin to limit or change some behaviors, or get further treatment if they need to for those things that they might be worried or concerned about. So it's a good way for them to alleviate some anxiety in that if they're concerned about how they're driving, or if they really, driving is such an important a lifeline, so to speak, for an older driver, because it connects you to the community, it connects you to church, grocery store, hairdresser, any social activities. Our biggest fear for an older adult is that they're not able to either drive or connect to the community, and they become more secluded in their home. The other thing, though, that we encourage people to do is participate in a CarFit event. A CarFit event is a free educational program. It takes 30 minutes. We tend to educate someone about how their car fits safely to them. CarFit was actually developed by the American Society on Aging, and with further collaboration with AAA, AARP, and the American Occupational Therapy Association, it's a nationwide program. So Touro is actually getting ready to host their 6th event on CarFit on April 14th. On a Saturday from 9 to 12. And what occurs is that we train technicians, and technicians can be occupational therapists, physical therapists. We actually work with AARP, the National Safety Council, and state troopers who come and become trained technicians. Then on site also is an occupational therapist that if there's a specific concern that an older driver may have, we can actually sit and educate them on what can be done for them to maintain their safety while driving. So it's a free event, it's fun, it's purely educational. Anything that we teach them, they don't need to actually incorporate. It's just more for their awareness, and the ultimate goal is for them to continue to drive as long as they can. If anyone would like to attend a CarFit event, we do need an appointment because it does take 30 minutes. So if they want to attend that on Saturday, April 14th from 9 to 12, they can just call the marketing department at 897-8500, and we will give them an appointment time so that they can show up, and we welcome their adult children to actually come with them also.